Hey, welcome to the Inward Investing Podcast. I'm Mike Ritter, and today I have a very cool guest coming from halfway around the world in Malaysia, Scott Goss. For the last decade, Scott has traveled the United States giving presentations, teaching sales professionals, managers, and top executives how to achieve their peak performance in their business along with their lives, as one of the top trainers for the number one success coach, Tony Robbins. He has spoken in front of groups such as Salesforce, Solar City, Tesla, MasterCard, Morgan Stanley, Amazon, and Remax, to name a few. So Scott, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
That is a laundry list of experiences that you've had. And I think one of the ones that sticks out is how well traveled you are, and the fact that you have worked with so many different people, from individuals to large corporations. I mean, you are living your best life right now.
Thank you, man.
So how would you describe, I guess that's kind of what you do, but how did you get here? What's your story?
Well, I mean, I like many people in life, have these moments where you struggle. So my first, growing up, I didn't have really many mentors or people to look up to. So I was kind of going through life, kind of winging it and just kind of hoping things work out. So I found myself at 27 years old, living in Florida and fresh out of the military, and just didn't really have any direction. So I was working for a sales company back then, and I was failing really bad. I was working really hard and doing the routine where you go to work, go home, go to bed, same thing over and over. And I wasn't producing in my sales. So my solution was work harder, which never really works. So I was working hard, and I found myself at 27 years old. I was overweight, about 20 pounds, and in debt $80,000, and having a bad relationship with a great woman, but I really didn't believe in myself. So I really didn't believe in myself. I believed that you had to have money to have success, and I believed you had to have money to have a woman, and all kind of limiting beliefs in my mind. And for me personally, one of the best decisions I made was when a speaker came out to my office in Florida and spoke about Tony Robbins, an opportunity to see Tony and unleash your power within. And then I went, and then things started to kind of open up for me. So I got really into personal growth and transformational work, and still into it today, and been pretty hardcore into reading the books and going to the seminars and doing the audios and actually now teaching things and being around people that are doing cool stuff for about 15 years. So it's been, a lifelong journey. And even though I've been doing it and I teach it, we all still have challenges. So that's kind of the journey of life, right? We're always trying to be able to get better, and I believe try to make the journey of life easier, more smoother, because most people have a lot of difficult challenges along the way.
Yeah, and you mentioned you mentioned the word transformation, and transformation is what a lot of people are after, but I think in order to experience transformation, you have to have some moment where you become either ready, whether it's an aha moment, or you read something, or you're invited by somebody. There's always that little turning point that starts sending you in that direction. What was the moment like? Or do you remember the time where you decided, hey, I need to go do something different? Or what made you go to the Tony Robbins workshops or seminars?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a good point. Most people change when there's pain, right? So when the woman leaves them, that's when they change. Or when they're overweight and the doctor says you got to quit eating cheeseburgers or you're going to die, or the bank takes away your car, that's when people change. So for me personally, I was just kind of sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was just overweight, struggling financially, and just didn't know what to do. I was in pain. So, most people, as we know, are motivated by moving towards something. So they're going to be excited if they're able to hit a goal or be able to a bonus or business. But for most people, that doesn't last, right? We hit the goal and then we kind of get stuck or plateaued. And then some people, like myself, probably most people, I guess you could say, are motivated to move away from pain, right? To get away from something they don't like.
Sure.
So, yeah, for most people, unfortunately, usually when life punches them, right, gives them a kick in the butt, that's when they change. So I guess probably the game is like, how can we be able to, get leverage on ourselves? I just got off a call with my coach today. So I literally came from my coaching call to here. So I believe in coaching. I have a coach I talk to every Tuesday for 30 minutes, and I've been talking to her for 4 years. And she's in Los Angeles, and I'm in Asia now, but we keep it up. And she gives me, the reminders and the kick in the butts to be able to make some changes. So I think Mike's about really being able to get that leverage through going to seminars, having coaches, having friends that aren't afraid to tell you that you're messing up, instead of the normal friends that say it's okay, let's go have a beer. So it's good to have a friend that holds you to a high level of accountability to really get that transformation and change.
Yeah, you mentioned friends and your surroundings, and we're often driven by pain. But I to share some of my story, I was a college athlete. Once I got hurt a couple times, and I just fell out of love with the sport and decided to live the normal life. And I gained a bunch of weight. I was hanging around different people. I was doing different things, but I was doing it on purpose. I kind of liked the lack of structure in my life at that point. And looking back on it now, it was a lie. It was a story. I was telling myself that I liked it. The relinquishment of responsibility felt good at the time, but I knew there's still 20% of myself that still knew that I was headed in the wrong direction, that I was going to have to deal with it one day. What are some of the, since you deal with change, and I want to go into some more of your journey here, but since you deal with change and you've dealt with change yourself, what are some of the lies that you maybe told yourself, or that you see other people tell themselves before they're ready to actually make a change, that they actually are comfortable where they are, or prevents them from making a change?
Yeah. So, I think we're all like a little lazy inside, right? So it's like, I guess it's that combination of, okay, well, we may say we're lazy, but then we get in that comfort zone, like you said, we may get comfortable. But I guess it really comes down to kind of probably the fear of the unknown, the fear of change, or even the fear of, look at Marianne Williamson quote, the fear of maybe being our greater self, or fear of being more powerful. So it all comes down to some sort of fear. I mean, a lot of people, I do believe this on one hand, and the other hand, I do have, some self-doubts too. A lot of people believe that most of the fears come back to when we're little, right? When our father didn't pick us up, or we didn't get picked on the sports team, or, we got made fun of in school. And I had all that stuff. So I had, I had a speech impediment for many years. So I got made fun of, and my solution was, when people would make fun of me talking, I just wouldn't talk, right? So I'd be quiet. So, and then I find myself in my 20s and in a sales career where I got to talk, but for many years of my life, I would hide because people would make fun of the way I spoke. So, that stuff coming up as we're younger, it may impact as we're younger, are like really deep patterns or really deep fears that are ingrained in us as youth, that we take into our adulthood and we take into our future, and somehow it comes up, that as afraid to be able to change, afraid to be able to do something different, because it's all ingrained in us. So most of that stuff has been around for many, many years. The fear of change, the fear of getting out of the comfort zone, the fear of doing something different, and then we kind of, I think, keep it all surface, right? We say, well, we're lazy, or we don't have the time, or, it, like you might have said, and I've been there too, it feels good. It feels good to kind of be lazy. And I think that's why we're lazy, is because we have some sort of like need that's fulfilled. So if you follow Tony's work, which I think is great, he talks about the 6 human needs of human psychology. And one of the needs is a need of certainty and a need of comfort to be able to know that everything is okay, the unconscious need for most people to drive us. So kind of being lazy sometimes or being comfortable also fulfills that need of being, being certain. Like we know, like we go see, I saw Avengers, I don't know, most people see Avengers a couple times. I saw it 3 times. So people see Avengers because they're hoping to get something different. But then we know we have that need to, that certainty that, it's a good movie, right? So, yeah, man, it's crazy how the human psychology works. It's crazy how we stay comfortable. I really think, and we can talk more about this, I really think it's about, for me personally, what works is like consistency, like consistent habits, consistency over and over to get the little changes. Because sometimes people try to do the big changes, which if they don't happen right away, they get frustrated and quit. So I think it's about that consistency over and over, like, like being a healthy person, right? So I'm sure you do work out quite often.
Yeah. Probably 4 to 5 times a week.
You got
okay. We had a little cutout.
Yeah.
There we go. And I work out 4 to 5 times a week.
So sorry. Malaysia. Let me check this Wi-Fi real quick here. I think I can do this without losing you, hopefully.
For sure.
Oh shoot! Okay. Malaysia. Let's see here. This will work better. Let's try this here. Yeah. So I'm in Malaysia. Malaysia's great, but they have very shoddy Wi-Fi. So
all good.
I apologize. Yeah. Back.
All right.
So what I was saying, Mike, I guess you work out with that consistency. That's a trick I think for success is having these habits or patterns and be able to be consistent with what we do.
Yeah, I think any successful plan is going to start with action, and it's going to start with at least from I've been a little bit of a habit nerd lately, having been a coach myself, and I want your input on this and for you to expand on it. But I know one of the common threads that I read is that, motivation doesn't really come until after a result. Results are very motivating, but results can't come until there's an action taken. And so it's very important for us to do something that we can be excited about, which creates a motivation to then repeat that habit.
Right. So true. Well, it's also true. It's very important too when you do those habits, because I work out all the time too. I try to do something every single day, and there's very few times I want to do it. Right? I don't. I tell people this all the time. I don't want to go to the gym. I go have a personal trainer. I went to yesterday, and I go to this guy, and 3 days a week, and it's not fun. I don't think it. The most fun is like the end, right?
Right.
So it's also having like having that belief or that standard. Is that standard in yourself where the belief that we have. If you want to break it down, right? So the beliefs that we have in our mind are beliefs that go over and over and over and over. Our beliefs are pretty much formed based on our values, right? What we value in life. So if we value health, we value exercise, we value success, family, adventure, happens, our values and our belief actually create every decision in our life. But also based on our beliefs and our values, our identity is formed, like who we think we are, right? So you can be formed as, a husband, as a father, as a decision maker. We all can have different identities. So our identity as well can help us be able to create our standard. So for me personally, for 30 years of my life, my identity has been like a health guy, right? A health guy, someone healthy, someone is in good shape, someone who takes care of themselves. So what happens for me with that identity, I actually are able to have a different belief based on my identity. And then from my identity, I take those actions, even though I don't want to take them, to be able to fulfill our identity. So what we do unconsciously is we actually do things unconsciously to stay true to who we think we are, to stay true to our. So, way to form an identity is by being able to have new experiences and new references that will form the belief that will be able to support a new identity. So, really, to be able to make some change, we got to do something different. We got to get uncomfortable, to take a new action, have a new experience, to be able to form a new belief, which will form a new identity. So you're kind of reverse engineering to kind of rebuild yourself, or be able to create yourself into the person that you want to be. But it first starts with doing like a different action to get out of the way we do things. Like, so for me personally, to tell you my story, how I moved to Asia, I was living in U.S. literally my whole life, right? Never been outside the U.S. except for Canada and Mexico, and that doesn't really count, I don't think. Canada, because right, Niagara Falls, that doesn't count. It's traveling. Going to Cabo, right, doesn't really count as traveling either, right? Because I tell people that's not really traveling the world, right? So I decided 2017 I needed to make a change, because what I was doing, Mike, I was doing the same stuff. I had to, even though I had a great job, I was living my purpose, traveling around, had good money, it was awesome. But I felt like I was like in the rat race of like same action, same result, like the same thing over and over and over. And I felt like I needed to go next level. And for us to go to the next level, any area of life, we got to do something different, right? We got to get out of the box. I mean, that's why people, we've seen people set the goal, right? People have the goal this year. People have financial goals they set in 2019, which is the same goal they set in 2018, the same goal they set in 2017. And people set the same goals every single year. And they're like, man, why don't I hit my goals? And I tell people, because you're the same person. You're doing the same stuff, right? The same thoughts, the same emotions, hanging out with the same people, getting up the same way every day, doing the same stuff. So I needed to change. So I decided to actually make a move to Asia, March 25th, 2018. I knew one guy out there from the US and never been to Singapore. So I moved to Singapore kind of on a whim. And my challenge to me was, how can I get comfortable in uncomfortable times, right? And as you know, and all your listeners know, we are in uncomfortable times today, right? There's no more going to work, working 20 years, getting a pension, getting Social Security. None of that's happening today, right? We're uncomfortable. I mean, we're going to be faced with change fast, like it or not, right? So how can we as human beings get comfortable in uncomfortable times? And what I found that works for me is definitely being able to stretch myself by doing something different, but also for me is my habits and patterns. So like my 3 habits are working out, meditation, or, maybe for you it could be prayer, or it could be time in silence. I mean, if you look at the great habits of the CEOs today, the Oprah Winfrey's, the Richard Branson's, the Elon Musk, everybody spends time in silence or they meditate. And be able to eat healthy. That's my 3rd. So eating healthy would be like a healthy meal, a juice, a shake, green drink, working out, and then also meditation are my top 3. And then on good days, I like to do some personal growth. So I do something every day, maybe 10 minutes of audio, or I have a lot of online courses I follow, or even reading was something very important too for me. So with those habits, I have consistency. If I'm in like Malaysia, or like this month I'm in Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Vietnam, and Philippines, right? So even though I'm traveling where I'm uncertain times at a new hotel, a new country, a new culture, a new language, I can have those habits to bring me back to my certainty. So that's very important, I think, for transformation. So you get the habits and get the experiences that forms a belief, that forms your identity. And then from there, you change your standards, and then it'll be easier to be able to create whatever you want.
That just blew my mind. And as simple as it is, you took something that we all feel and we all know is real and broke it down into steps that's just completely logical. And I, I'm thinking about this, I'm trying to pull it into my world here, and from a personal standpoint and a professional standpoint. And, I recognize constantly, you broke it down very well, but I've recognized this element that we all see and feel when people are changing their diet or doing some kind of exercise. I've noticed that some people will sometimes refuse to do a behavior. Let's say they don't want to do the paleo diet, and I'm not promoting one or another, the paleo diet, or they don't want to be a vegan, or they want to do keto or whatever, because I don't want to be like those people. Or they won't do CrossFit, or they won't do bodybuilding because I don't want to be like them. And that's an indication, that's language that shows that we are if we do something, we're attaching our entire identity to it. Or I don't want other people to think that I'm like them, because it's all tied to identity.
Right.
Perception of ourselves by ourselves and from others.
Right.
Yeah. That's very interesting how deep that goes.
Too, I said that too, where, so I'm in a, with my social media presence. My social media presence can be so much better, but I think in my mind sometimes, I think, okay, well, I don't want to be that guy who's on Facebook 12 hours a day, right? I don't want to be that person that's on Instagram all day long, right? Yeah. And it's funny, I don't know if I haven't been in the US that much here in the last year, but you see all these Instagram models, right? You go out to like any sort of like monument here in Asia. Here in Malaysia, there's these twin towers, and you see all these 20-year-old girls, right? That think they're Instagram models having the photo shoots, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't want to be like an Instagram model, but in my mind, I say that, right? But then in my core, I think it's to some level of fear, to be honest and transparent, it's some level of fear of putting myself out there on social media.
Yeah.
But I say in my mind, oh, I don't want to be like everybody else, right? But in my core is some fear, right? So it's all the stuff that we say, like I said earlier, this surface stuff, right? But at the core, it's just like some fear we have of being judged, thinking we're not good enough, or fear of like being rejected.
Yeah. The fear of rejection. Fear is very powerful.
So, success is really simple principles going over and over and over again, right? Yes. Yeah. But then we get in our mind and make things more difficult than it should. It's like buying a sales course or how to do something course, right? How to be able to create an online business, or how to sell on, or how to stocks, right? We actually get, make it complicated, and like with most programs, we get emotional around it too. And then with the emotion and with our fears and us making it more complicated, most people don't get anything done, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's a great time to live in, and then also a very challenging time as well, because there's so much happening and so many distractions today.
Well, what was to go back in time just a little bit, what was your role with the Tony Robbins Institute? I think you said you were a chief strategist or a strategist in some sort. What was that experience like, and what were some of your major learning points during that time in your life?
Well, so yeah, it was great. So what we did, our sales model, we had, so we would promote the big 4-day Unleash Your Power event, which just finished in Dallas, it sells out now. Tony's a rock star now. So put the 4-day, and our sales funnel to get people to this 4-day event, they would do 3 times a year in the US, where they would be able to sell tickets online, very easy. And then also they would have what is called personal account reps. They get on the phone, about 35 of them would get on the phone, and they call former graduates and get referrals and make phone calls all day. And then I was part of what is called the field sales team. There was about 7 to 8 of us, and we would travel from city to city. So we go, for example, we go into Florida, and we have like 2 guys in Tampa, somebody in Jacksonville, Orlando, Miami, South Florida. And we go around and we speak to different sales companies and do free previews. So we go to, let's say, a real estate group, a mortgage group, network marketers, speak for an hour, get people excited, then close them on going to see Tony Robbins for 4 days. So, I mean, what I learned is like unbelievable. I mean, learned how to influence better, learned how to speak better, learned how to connect people better. Also learned my own purpose, built my own belief in myself. So the journey was great because it actually helped the people, but also it helped me as much because I was getting like so much uncertainty every single day. You go into an office, you don't know if they're going to be happy to see you. You don't know if they're not going to like you. It's so much uncertainty. So I've taken that, you know, and actually now I was doing my own sales and marketing business, but I still do here in Asia. But I actually connected with a group called Success Resources, and they're known as the #1 event company in the world. They do about 500 events, and they're originally out of Singapore, been around for 25 years. Great company, and they do stuff in Europe, Asia, and now US. So right now, I've been doing preview events. That's why I'm actually in Malaysia. I'm speaking today. I do preview events for Success Resources because they're promoting Tony Robbins to come out here in September for his Unleash Your Power. So here, doing presentations versus US, completely different. So, you know, as we know as smart people, right, the 19th century was ran by Europe. 20th century was really time for the US. Big US has thrived in 20th century. 21st century is going to be the time for Asia. Asia is on fire over here. China, as we know, is buying up the world. And really here in Asia, Southeast Asia where I am, which is like Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, very, 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 very open for personal growth. People are very hungry here to become trainers, to get certified in coaching, to learn, to invest in themselves. But then it's different, you know, it's different culture here. So, you know, I learned so much. What I learned in my travels, and I think most people know this if you're a smart person, that people are people, right? People at our core, right? We have the same fear, the same desires. People are people, right? Just different details, right? Different, you know, how you grew up, how I grew up, we have different details, right? You grew up in Florida in athletics.
Yeah.
You spent most of your life in Florida, right? And I grew up in Maryland, right? Even though we're a couple hour flight away, it's still different details, but at our core, we're the same.
Yeah.
But also being here in Asia, where, you know, people in the Philippines, so different than people in Malaysia or people in Singapore, right? People in the Philippines are more open, kind of like Americans, more free. And here in Malaysia and Singapore, people are more reserved, right? But at the core, we're the same. So it's fascinating now learning the different cultures, learning different, you know, people, how they do life. But at the core, I think the cool thing to realize is that we're all the same. We have the same desires, the same fears, the same stuff, right? Fear of not being good enough, fear of not being loved. We all want to be accepted. We all want to be free at some level, right? We all want to be maybe loved. So crazy, man. Crazy world we're in today, but it's good. It's good to be able to travel, experience. I've learned so much from the journey. I learned really our foundation is belief. You know, that's the game that we have to play, especially in the world we are today. I mean, we got information everywhere, right? We can Google how to make money online, how to invest in cryptocurrency, how to be able to make money with stock market, right? We can Google everything. Google how to get six-pack abs, right? Google how to eat, Google how to eat. I heard about a new diet called the carnivore diet. You heard of the carnivore diet?
Yeah, we actually will have a guest on the podcast here in the next couple of weeks who has been successful carnivore over the last 2 years.
But eat all meat. I want to do that. That sounds like the best diet in the world, right?
Right.
So there's information everywhere on what to do, but I think the game is how can we work on our mindset? How can we work on our mindset, our belief systems, our foundation? And the best way to do that is through, you know, meditation, personal growth, reading, hanging out with people that are doing stuff bigger than you, because you see these people that are doing cool stuff And when you see it, it's a reference, an experience that can help you be able to form your belief, right? So if like me and you are hanging out, and like me and you we talk to everybody every day, and we see Mike, right now, right? So right now, like you're inspiring me to be able to do a podcast. So I'm seeing you right now doing a podcast. And as we become better friends, I can say, wow, Mike does his podcast and he does it with all these amazing people, and he does it, we're out of schedule, and he does it, late at night, like you're doing it late at night. Yeah. And like, wow, man, Mike's doing this. I can do it too. So it's about building that belief, building psychology. And that's, I think the game today is how can we just improve this thing and this thing, our emotions too, right? Emotions are big as well.
Yeah. And, we have this brain, and we have these emotions, and we're all, to me, there's a second layer here too. We just talked about the beginning the process of transformation. And, that's obviously a process that just keeps rolling. Like you're going to experience that process over and over and over. But what would you say to somebody that says, hey, you know what? I'm experiencing success for the first time. I'm doing really well. I want to keep this going. How does someone handle success? Maybe they have the fear of plateauing. Maybe they have the fear of their success stopping. How do you talk to that person? How does that person talk to themselves where they have a fear of all of this stuff that they've worked for and everything's still going well, and they have this fear of it going away? They have a fear of not being able to handle the success that they have.
Well, probably first I would let them know that there's probably a great chance something's going to happen, right? So there's a great chance they're gonna have some challenges that may sabotage them. So, or they're may sabotage themselves, right? That's the challenge. Usually, is when people get success, right? It goes up, and then for some people it plateaus off, or some people it actually even goes down, right? So the challenge is how can you be able to really be able to keep on growing, right? Because what happens is people get to success, they grow, they may get a new idea, they may have a new relationship, get a new strategy, and what happens again? Then the mind kicks in, right? The mind chatter may kick in from other people to make it back down. So the classic example is somebody in sales comes to a new company. If somebody in sales comes to a new company, or even we see this in network marketing all the time as well, they get excited. They get excited for a new product or new service, and they get excited and they start out really, 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 really fast, and they start doing really, really well. And then what happens? They may hear what is called the water cooler talk. And the water cooler talk is where back in the day, you'd be at an office and you're hanging out the coffee machine or water cooler, and all the employees are complaining about the boss, complaining about the product, complaining about the system, complaining about how everything's overpriced, it's hard to sell. And what happens is sometimes in the mind, they start to be able to create doubts or fears from their own mind, or hearing outside influences that may actually create that doubt. And if when that doubt comes in, that limiting belief, that's when they start self-sabotaging and maybe going back down. So to be able to prevent that, number one, when it can be from me, it can be from competitors, it can be from many areas, it can be from social media. What happens is we have to be able to block that out, and we have to be able to stay true to who we are. So how can we be able to build ourselves up and be able to continually grow and be able to work on our psychology, our mindset, our belief system over and over. So when things happen, which they will happen, we'll be able to have that mindset of certainty where we'll be able to break through any barriers. So being prepared, be prepared for, the fall, which will happen, right? Again, changing your peer group. I mean, we could talk about that. We've heard this a million times, but it's so important. changing your peer group to be around those people that will support you when it happens, right? And to tell you when it happens, most of us probably lies. It's not true. And then also be able to, and always be able to do something to challenge yourself to the next level. So that's probably the best advice I could give on that, so they don't crash.
Yeah, and I know that that I've had the whole fear of the wilderness. You know, I've had that fear of the unknown in the past, and sometimes that's prevented me from changing when I could have evolved the whole time. And you know, there are some pieces of advice that I think I've listened to and I shouldn't have. There's pieces of advice that I should have and I didn't. What's some of the advice that you see or hear, whether it's kind of floating around on the internet, some of the popular advice that's in the personal growth world that you're hearing right now that might just be bad advice that people are getting? What's some of the common phrases? Like I know in the nutrition world, I can think of them, you know, all the things that sound like nails on a chalkboard to me, but are you seeing a lot of people right now getting bad advice? Are they trying too many things? Are they, you know, what are you hearing from people that's going wrong most commonly?
Well, you know, you mean with what's going wrong with what or something people are hearing in the outside noise that may be stopping people from success?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yes.
Okay. You're cutting it. Sure.
Yep.
Well, you know, I think it's still, I think the challenge, and you guys see this too, the challenge in our world today is there's so many opportunities. So people get confused where, you know, we're always looking for the next shiny object, right? Or we're looking for the next thing, right? So not many people that I know can be successful in many verticals, right? Most people need to be able to be successful at one or two things, but I started trying 5, 6, 7, 8 things to be successful. So here in Singapore, I can speak from Singapore. A lot of people here, it's very expensive to live, and it's kind of a rat race for money. And money is very, very important to people here in Singapore because it's high rent, food's expensive, cars are outrageous, gas is outrageous. And what happens is people try to do too many things. So I believe that, you know, whatever age you are, if you're younger, if you're in your 20s or 30s, or even your 20s, I give this advice all the time. If you're in your 20s, I would find like 1 or 2 areas, 1 or 2 skill sets to master. Like you can master sales. I mean, if you master sales, you're going to be able to make money the rest of your life. You master marketing, right? You're going to market really well, online, offline, mostly online. You'll be able to do well the rest of your life. So it depends what phase of life you're in, but I tell people to find a couple areas to master. Also, to be able to find those areas and be able to have 2 or 3 verticals we can be able to become really good at to make money from, because people instead of 5 or 6. And then for me personally too, what I like to do with taking chances, which is important. So I know this could be big for people in the US, I set up a long-term savings plan. So I have insurance, mutual funds, IRAs, index funds, all that stuff. So I have like savings I save every single month for my long-term. And what that does, I think it's really important. If you're able to save for long-term, it kind of frees you up to be able to be a little more risky short-term. So in my mind, for me, I don't mind investing, a couple $1,000s here, a couple $1,000s there, where if I lose it because I have a plan long-term. So I would believe just finding those areas and be able to master a couple areas instead of being all over the place. Because people here, I have a cryptocurrency project I work pays me passively, which is pretty good. I enjoy it very much. But then I have people here in Singapore that do this project, and they're in stock investing. They have a juice company they represent. They have a travel company. They have all this stuff. and they're just all over the place. So I think that staying focused on a couple of things today, and being able to be successful, and doing almost like the grunt work, right? Doing the stuff that's not very glamorous, doing a little bit of work every single day, being consistent, and being able to put the work in, and over time, it's going to do a growth for you.
Yeah, I think your ability to do multiple things kind of lives and dies by how similar they are and how much good they are doing you.
Yeah, so true. So true. Yep.
Yeah, if you're
Right.
if you're
So
trying to manage, go ahead.
So 100%. So if you're in, it's good to know your strengths too, right? Mm-hmm. So my skill sets in my 40s, my skill set is sales, marketing, presentations. That's my skill sets, right? So I don't want to, in my 40s, to go learn online marketing. You pay somebody for that, right? Or go learn how to be able to write program or something like that, right? So you want to kind of stay within, like you're saying, like you want to stay within your skill sets and be able to do those. You want to do multiple things, but if they're within your skill set, that makes sense. Was that what you're saying? If they're within the same area? So you're into health and fitness, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so being into health and fitness, you could be able to do many, many things, right? You could be able to you could have online videos, you could be able to do some offline stuff, you could be able to do podcasts, what you're doing, you could be able to do like a home study course, stuff like that, which are all within your skill sets.
Right. And I think being able to be diverse inside of that skill set can be important, but I think we can definitely lose touch by, if I want to, as an example, also be, I don't know, own a juice store. Obviously 2 totally different skill sets. Now I'm managing people and have a different type of customer base. When you see yourself diving into different types of businesses at once with different types of responsibilities, that starts pulling focus in different directions. And obviously you might not actually be cut out for that. What would you say to somebody who is, say, 22, 23, and they're like, hey man, I'm working with my strengths right now. And it turns out my strength is playing the oboe, and people playing the oboe is not getting much money these days. What do you say to that guy? Keep pushing harder on, your skill with the oboe, or, find something that actually makes you money.
The oboe is a game.
It's like a musical instrument. It's like a classical instrument.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. All right, good. Well, I mean, in your 20s, I don't know. 20s, people are gifted out in the 20s. I know some people that are amazing in their 20s. I would tell them to, I think it's about figuring out what your passions are too. So being in your 20s, if you can figure out your passions and your purpose, that would be a huge gift for you, because most people in their 50s and 60s and 70s have no idea what their passion or purpose is in life. And then if you're able to figure out your passion, figure out your passion and purpose, what you wanted to really achieve. And then, if you're in your 20s, try to be able to figure out, okay, what would be a profession, or what would be able to become really good at that's going to be sustainable 50 years from now, right? Because and I think that goes back to, like I said, sales and marketing, right? If you're able to market, you're going to be able to make money somehow for the next 50 years, somehow, somewhere. Even with AI and all kind of robots coming to our world today, you'll still be able to make money and survive. So find your purpose, find your passion, find one or two skill sets as to master, and then you can still keep on playing your yoga, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever you're up to. You can still do it if that's something that gives you passion and gives you enjoyment. Heck yeah, do it, right? But also figure out, okay, what else can I be able to do that's going to be able to generate, whatever the long-term goal is. The long-term goal is to be able to serve. What is your ultimate goal too? So most people go through life with no vision, no purpose. And I see that when I ask people all the time, they come to my trainings, how many people are looking for the purpose? Almost everybody raises their hand. And then people are looking for that today at a big level. What is their purpose in life, and how can you live into it?
Man, you touched on something so profound there that I don't think, I know it just sounds like common advice these days. Find your passion, find your purpose. But the way that in the context you just brought it up, reminded me or made me realize that, we have a generation before me that were very hard workers, but I know a lot of people in that older generation, one in particular I can think of, that was an orthopedic surgeon, very hard worker, retired. He was one of the most successful orthopedic surgeons in the state. And I think this is representative of his generation. And it turns out he was fairly miserable doing what he did. And, and I think kind of the common theme with millennials, at least this is the story, I don't think it's entirely true, but the thing with millennials is that they're all passion and no hard work, no skill. And I know that's overgeneralizing, but there is a middle ground. And I think it's important for us to, think about as we move forward in our own careers, or if you're thinking about changing your career, or you're thinking about improving yourself, that there can be a marriage between the two. It doesn't have to be one or the other, all hard work and just mastering skills that are boring but make you a lot of money. You can also incorporate things that are within your wheelhouse, you're passionate about, and bring you joy at the same time. And I think ultimately that's what we're all looking for, is a little bit of semblance between those two.
You froze on me again. Sorry. I'm sorry. What would you say, Mike? You said something at the end about bringing your joy within your wheelhouse, coming all together.
Yeah. It's trying to find some kind of semblance between the two. The skills that are actually valuable in the world, with something that you really enjoy and can contribute passionately, and having some sort of blend. I believe that there is a blend if we're willing to dig deep and be creative enough and patient enough to find those things. They're there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're in a world today where it's a laptop life out, right? So we can really work with our phone or laptop anywhere, which is really cool. And like my day today, so I got up about 7:00, and I went and had coffee and kind of planned my day. And then I did a little bit of meditation, got on the phone with you. Actually, not a coaching call, got on the phone with you. And then like for the next 2 hours, I'm going to go work out and get ready for the day. But also I have like some videos, I'll shoot some videos from my phone that I have to send out to the Philippine group. And I have a call in Indonesia at 1:00. I got a presentation at 2:30. So like my whole day, which is cool. I think the cool life we're in right now, we can kind of have like a little bit of lifestyle where we can go swimming, go to the pool, but still be able to work from the phone, send out some messages, make some videos, get online, post online. So the game is like really good to go back to passion and purpose. I think once we're able to figure out our passion and purpose in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever it may be, when we figure out our passion or purpose, we can kind of design your life around your passion and purpose, and kind of be able to do things that light you up, and then also be able to do things that are, for work that light you up, but also do things personally that light you up when you're able to know really who you are and what you want. So my passion, for example, my purpose is to inspire people. So I do that through coaching. I do that through speaking. I try to do it on a day-to-day basis by just being nice to people and try to encourage people along the way. And
it's easy enough.
Encourage friends. And yeah, for sure. And some people here in Asia don't get my humor, the American humor, though, sometimes. We're a little more playful. Americans are a little more playful sometimes than people here in Singapore and in Malaysia are a little more tight. And, yeah, it's a great time to be alive, great time to be able to create whatever we want and live lifestyle and do business globally and, live in, Puerto Rico is a great place to live today. I have friends live in Puerto Rico, can go live in Puerto Rico, and go live in Asia, go live in Europe, and then come back and live in, one of the greatest countries in the world, the US as well. So great time to be alive. So much good stuff happening for us.
That's fantastic.
That's the thing we need to think too, Mike. We need to be thankful every day just to be alive, right? Thankful to be alive in this time and thankful just to be choosing to be alive too. I was actually on stage with Gary Vaynerchuk a couple weeks ago, and he's a great guy. And he said, according to modern science, the chance of us being born is 3 trillion to 1.
Wow.
What? That's crazy. 3 trillion to 1, like us being alive.
You hit the lottery, man.
Depressed.
That's just hit the absolute lottery.
Yes, the best lottery in the world.
So I saw a presentation by Dr. James Lohr, who's here in Florida at the Human Performance Institute, and he had a speech that started similar I think he brought up stats like that, if not that exact stat, and it was, if we're this lucky, there has to be a purpose. There has to be something you're capable of doing while you're here. Don't waste a 1 in 100 trillion chance of being here on a life not fulfilled or a life with no purpose. And he suggested, based on his research, that the purpose of life is to give it away. And of course, he supported this, that you give it away with your skills, you give it away with your message, you give it away. Yeah, it's to give your life away. And your purpose, your skill, your assets, your ability to affect other people who can then affect other people, that is what you do with your life. And that was a really inspirational story that is directed like a bullet right on what you just mentioned.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, to give it away. I love that.
Give it away.
I'm gonna use that in my talk today.
All right. Say you got it from Mike at the Inward Investing Podcast.
Always learning, man. Always learning.
Yeah. Absolutely. I've never had.
I think that's too. That's a key for life today too. You gotta be flexible too. You gotta be a little flexible things. So like, I'm taking what you told me, and I'm gonna add it to my talk. I'm gonna and learn and grow and you got to be flexible today. We're in a changing times. Got to be able to be flexible and back to what you're saying, just not take things so personal, not take things so heavy, right? It's really shouldn't be that heavy. Life should be fun.
Absolutely. Well, I do have one more question for you, Scott, before I let you go. And that is, what kind of guardrails or barriers have you set up in your life that prevent you from feeling burnout or kind of losing your focus? For everyone, this answer is a little bit different. But guardrails are things that are placed on the road in the safety zone and not in the danger zone. If there's a cliff next to a road, the guardrails are placed just inside so that even if you do hit it, you don't fall and roll off the road. Are there any rules or barriers or things that you've set up to prevent yourself from coming close to losing your focus or becoming derailed?
I'm very conscious and very aware of being able to take time to enjoy. So I think I try to every single day to do something to enjoy. I like swimming. Swimming is a big thing for me right now. And being in Asia where there's not gyms everywhere, so swimming is something that's good to go to. Laying in the sun, right? Getting 30 minutes of sun. It's really good for us anyways, right? 30 minutes of sun. Or, last night, I never do this. I took a bath, right? So like doing something that like just doing something to be able to enjoy and something to be able to reset. And I'm looking forward to in August, I'm going to take about 4 days, 3-4 days, and just go some island and just sit there and no Wi-Fi, no internet, and really just do nothing. And I think we don't do that enough today. I don't think we spend time in silence. There's these, it's great time. There's these silent meditation retreats called Vipassana all over the world. We can go for free for like 7 days and do meditations. Bill Gates would disappear 7 days twice a year. 7 days twice a year, he'd disappear and nobody knew where he was except for 1 or 2 people. And he would go and just think and just be able to be by himself, right? So for me personally, my setup is this, to have those moments where I can enjoy and relax and maybe take a walk, maybe just be in nature, to do something to kind of reset and not get too stressed. So I live my life kind of like I do my best with my travel to be in a flow where I kind of take things kind of easy. I don't rush. I don't put too much pressure on myself. I'm speaking in front of a couple hundred people today, and I got to sell, right? We got to sell. And I work with a team here, and they got to sell because the boss wants numbers, right? So I think it all goes back to mindset, because I don't put too much pressure on myself. If I did, I wouldn't do it. So I just keep it light, where I'm going to give these people all I got. I'm going to be excited for them. I'm going to love them, and I'm going to encourage them and give me a loving push to be able to make a decision and sign up for our program. But if they don't sign up for it, it's okay, because people are where they are, and I did my best anyways. So it comes back to really the psychology of, I think, not putting too much pressure on yourself, enjoying those moments, being able to take time, relax, maybe be with loved ones, be with your kids. If you're father or mother, that's important to spend time with the kids. For many years, too expensive to travel. So yeah, just kind of enjoy life a little bit.
That's awesome. Fantastic advice, brother. Well, I do appreciate you joining in. It is officially 10 o'clock at night, and my clients are going to hate me in the morning if I don't get to bed.
Good, man.
Yeah, man. So
good morning.
This has been a wonderful chat. I'll remember it forever. I really appreciate it. And thanks again. If anyone wants to reach out to you, how do they find you?
They can find me on Facebook, and my Facebook's almost full, but Instagram, Scott Goss, SCOTTGASS, or email's good, coachscottgoss@gmail.com, but probably Instagram is the best. So maybe we can find Instagram and the feed, baby. Anybody wants to reach out, I'd love to connect. I'm always up for good friendships, and anything I can do to help, I'm open.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. You're awesome, man. Thank you so much.
All right.
Good night.
You bet.